Boston, Paige Beckers, Sonia Citron, Caitlin Clark, Kalia Copper, Chelsea Gray, Dearica Hamby, Ryan Howard, Kiki Riafen, Kelsey Plum, Angel Reese, and Jackie Young. And a lot of people were also asking, like, why isn't Nafisa on this roster? Why isn't Asia Wilson on this roster? Why isn't Sabrina, like some of the people who actually played in the Paris Olympics on
that roster graphic said everything before anyone even opened the caption. Right there in the center were Ryan Howard, Chelsea Gray, and Aaliyah Boston. Proven names, champions, players with experience on the biggest stages. They weren't just placed randomly. They were positioned as the faces of the announcement. Meanwhile, the three players who would have instantly set the internet on fire, Caitlin Clark, Paige Buchers, and Angel Reese, were nowhere on the promotional image. The reaction was fast. Social media lit up. Fans questioned it. Debates started within minutes. But this wasn't an accident. Graphics at that level don't happen by chance. In 2025, every image released by a major sports organization is carefully planned. USA Basketball's media team knows exactly how engagement works. They understand who trends, who drives clicks, and which names spark nonstop discussion online. If they wanted maximum buzz, they easily could have built the entire announcement around Clark, Buchers, and Reese. Those three alone guarantee headlines, arguments, and viral posts across every platform. But they chose not to. That choice speaks volumes. Instead of centering the rookies and rising stars, they highlighted veterans who have already proven themselves internationally. Players who have won championships. Players who understand FIBA competition. Players who have earned respect inside the program over time. That sends a message about priorities. This isn't a preseason hype video. It's World Cup qualifying. The goal isn't trending topics or viral debates. It's winning games against elite international competition. Team USA has always operated on structure and hierarchy. You earn your place. You respect the ladder. You build credibility over years, not months. By placing established stars front and center, USA Basketball reinforced that culture. They leaned into continuity instead of momentum, experience instead of excitement. That doesn't mean Caitlin Clark, Paige Buchers, and Angel Reese aren't important. In fact, they may be the most marketable names in women's basketball right now. They drive ratings. They fill arenas. They attract new fans to the sport. From a business perspective, they are gold. But inside the walls of USA Basketball, legacy still carries weight. The graphic made that clear. It showed that, internally, leadership and past achievement matter more than social media buzz. It showed that the program still values stability over spectacle. And in a tournament setting, that mindset makes sense. Chemistry, defensive rotations, communication, and late-game execution don't come from trending topics. They come from shared experience. USA Basketball had two options: build around the future or honor the foundation. In February 2025, they chose the foundation. The younger stars will have their moment. They already are shaping the future of the sport. But this announcement was about something else. It was about reinforcing who currently holds the keys. And sometimes what isn't shown in a graphic tells you just as much as what is.
your players play in every world event. I can imagine that Asia will just not participate in World Cup. She doesn't have to. She probably will only participate when another Summer Olympics rolls around, like in Los Angeles next time. The first thing that stood out to me about this roster is it's really guard heavy. I think the only post players that we have are Aaliyah Boston, Dearica Hamby, Kiki Riafen, and Angel Reese. Otherwise, the roster is relatively small, but I do think it's a good roster. It's full of young players, and I think that
Here's what makes this roster so interesting from a basketball strategy perspective. Head coach Kara Lawson is leading a group that is clearly built around guards. When you really look at the lineup, the pattern stands out right away. Aaliyah Boston and Dearica Hamby are true frontcourt players. Camila Cardoso, if she's part of the final pool, adds more size. Angel Reese brings toughness and rebounding. But beyond those names, the rest of the roster leans heavily toward perimeter talent. You're looking at players like Paige Buchers, Caitlin Clark, Kalia Copper, Chelsea Gray, Ryan Howard, Kelsey Plum, and Jackie Young. All of them are guards or wings who are comfortable handling the ball, creating their own shots, and operating in open space. That's not a coincidence. It reflects a clear philosophy. This roster is built around pace and spacing. Instead of stacking the team with traditional post players who score with their backs to the basket, This group looks ready to spread the floor and play fast. There are multiple ball handlers who can initiate offense. There are shooters who can pull up from deep. There are wings who can attack off the dribble and finish in transition. You don't need one classic point guard running every possession because so many players can make decisions with the ball. That approach makes sense when you consider how international basketball has changed. The gap between Team USA and the rest of the world is not what it used to be. Countries like France, Spain, Belgium, and Australia have developed more skilled and disciplined teams. They defend well. They move the ball. They are comfortable guarding traditional, post-heavy systems. Packing the paint and forcing tough two-point shots is no longer enough to scare elite international squads. So what's the counter? Speed, shooting, smart decision-making. A guard-heavy lineup allows for quicker defensive switches and faster rotations. It also creates constant pressure in transition. Offensively, it forces opposing big players to defend in space, which can be uncomfortable for them. If Boston or Reese draw defenders inside, that opens kick-out opportunities for Clark or Plum from three-point range. If defenses stay glued to shooters, driving lanes open up for guards to attack the rim. Still, there is real risk involved. International competition is physical. FIBA officiating allows more contact than many players are used to. Rebounding becomes critical, especially in tournament play where games come quickly and fatigue sets in. Depth in the frontcourt can matter over multiple tough matchups. If Team USA faces a team with strong size and disciplined interior defense, going smaller could create problems on the boards. That's the gamble here. This roster isn't designed to slow games down and grind out low-scoring wins. It's built to overwhelm opponents with skill, tempo, and versatility on the perimeter. The strategy is modern and aggressive. The big question is whether that guard-driven style will hold up when the games get tight, the shots stop falling, and international opponents respond with physical play and composure.
Loved her interview. I love Kara Lawson. I've been watching her. Well, I was a fan of her when she played in college at Tennessee, and so I've always loved Kara. And I think that she is a great coach and will be great for this role. But Natalie Nakase, Nate Tibbetts, and Stephanie White will also serve as assistant coaches, and Jose Fernandez, Tia Jackson are stepping in as the scout coaches. So you have some of the top coaches in the WNBA who are acting as assistant for Kara Lawson. It will definitely be super interesting to see.
Now let's talk about the biggest headline. The stars who aren't on this roster. Aya Wilson, Brianna Stewart, and Sabrina Ionescu are not participating in this round of World Cup qualifying. As soon as the roster dropped, social media started buzzing. People questioned whether it was a sign of tension, a shift in priorities, or something deeper happening behind the scenes. But the reality is much simpler. This is normal in international basketball cycles. The World Cup and the Olympics run on different timelines, and roster management is a long game. After competing in the 2024 Summer Olympics, many elite players take a step back from certain qualifying windows. These athletes don't just play during the summer. They log heavy minutes in the WNBA regular season, battle through playoffs, compete internationally, and manage media and sponsorship responsibilities. The physical and mental load is constant. Rest isn't a luxury at that level. It's strategy. For players like Wilson and Stewart, there's nothing left to prove in a qualifying tournament. They've won Olympic gold. They've performed in championship moments. They've carried Team USA when the pressure was at its highest. Sitting out a March 2025 qualifier isn't a snub to the program. It's long-term planning. The real target is the 2028 Summer Olympics. That's the event that defines legacies. That's what veterans are pacing themselves for. Preserving their bodies now increases the chance they're at full strength when the global spotlight is brightest. But their absence doesn't create weakness. It creates opportunity. For Caitlin Clark, this window matters. After being left off the Olympic roster in Paris, a decision that sparked nonstop debate, she now has a clear chance to prove how she fits within Team USA's system. This isn't about headlines or fan campaigns. It's about showing she can adjust to FIBA rules, handle physical defense, and contribute to winning basketball against elite international competition. The same goes for other emerging stars fighting to secure their place in the program's long-term plans. Qualifying tournaments function as evaluation stages. Coaches look beyond scoring numbers. They evaluate chemistry, defensive effort, decision-making under pressure, willingness to accept roles, communication in high-stakes moments. It's about building the next core. While the internet focuses on who isn't there, USA Basketball is thinking about succession. Veteran longevity has to be protected. Minutes have to be managed. New leaders have to be developed before they're urgently needed. This is how sustained dominance works. You don't wait for legends to age out before preparing replacements. You phase in the next generation while the foundation is still strong. Wilson, Stewart, and Ionescu will be back when it counts most. Their resumes are secure. Their leadership is established. Right now, this stage belongs to players trying to solidify their future within the program. This qualifying window isn't about legacy. It's about transition. And if everything goes according to plan, Team USA won't just maintain its standard. It will quietly build the next era while the world debates who's missing.
Because obviously, I think the best lineups would be the younger players. Caitlin should be starting at 1. Paige should be starting at 2. Aaliyah Boston should be starting at center. Honestly, I would put Angel Reese at 4. And then in that 3 spot, I don't know. It depends if you want to go big or you want to go small with your lineup. You could put Ryan Howard in there. You could put Kalia Copper probably. Yeah, maybe Kalia Copper at 3. I personally would go with a younger lineup. It will be very interesting to see.
The coaching staff might actually be the most underrated part of this entire roster. At the top is Kara Lawson as head coach, and that alone sends a strong message. Lawson isn't just a former standout at Tennessee or a WNBA champion. She has built real credibility in the coaching world. At Duke University, she has developed high-level talent and shown she can lead in pressure-filled environments. She understands today's game, spacing, switching defenses, positionless lineups, and she knows how to manage confident, high-usage players. That's especially important with a roster loaded with ball-dominant guards and wings. But it doesn't stop with Lawson. Look at the assistants. Natalie Nakase, Nate Tibbetts, and Stephanie White. Those aren't filler names. That's serious experience. Nakase brings championship background and a strong reputation for player development. Players respect her, and she's known for attention to detail. Tibbetts adds NBA-level structure and tactical discipline. His systems emphasize organization, spacing, and accountability on both ends of the floor. White has proven at the professional level that she can build teams that defend together and execute in the half-court. Her squads are known for discipline and communication. For a World Cup qualifying window, that's an elite bench. And then you look even deeper. Scout coaches like Jose Fernandez and Tia Jackson bring serious evaluation experience. They understand international scouting, tendencies, play styles, and how different countries adjust during tournament play. That signals preparation. Film breakdown, situational drills, specific defensive coverages tailored to each opponent. This isn't a casual qualifying run where the US just shows up and expects to win on talent alone. Even with a younger guard-heavy roster, USA Basketball has built a professional structure around the group. That says something important. Development doesn't mean lowering expectations. It means creating an environment where players are evaluated carefully, roles are tested, and standards stay high. And the competition won't be easy. Matchups against Senegal, Puerto Rico, Italy, New Zealand, and especially Spain are real tests. Spain, in particular, plays disciplined half-court basketball with strong defensive structure. They move the ball patiently and force mistakes. Italy is known for smart offensive movement and spacing. Puerto Rico competes with physicality and pride. These are teams capable of punishing sloppy rotations or weak rebounding. That's why the staff matters so much. While some fans are focused on which superstar names aren't participating, the bigger takeaway is how serious this setup is. The coaching group is experienced. The scouting will be detailed. The preparation will be intentional. This isn't a rebuilding phase. It's more of a recalibration, blending new talent into the system while keeping championship-level standards intact. And with this level of coaching infrastructure in place, the expectation isn't just to qualify. It's to set the tone for the next era.
I'm sure the discourse around WNBA Twitter will be very civil. Somebody's going to be mad. Somebody's going to be mad whether Chelsea Gray is starting or whether Caitlin Clark is starting. Somebody somewhere is going to be mad. That's just how the discourse is around this league. But I think it's a good roster. I think it's a good team. I think that they will be just fine in these World Cup qualifiers.
If you're Kara Lawson right now, you're facing a decision that's complicated on the court and explosive off it. No matter what choice she makes, part of the internet is going to be upset. Because this isn't only about rotations and matchups. It's about symbolism. The bold, future-focused move would be to start the young core. Put Caitlin Clark at point guard, Paige Buchers at the 2, Kalia Copper on the wing, Angel Reese at power forward, Aaliyah Boston protecting the paint. That lineup represents a transition era. It's fast, can stretch the floor. It offers rebounding and interior toughness. There's ball handling at multiple positions and enough defensive flexibility to switch across matchups. More than that, it would send a clear message. This is the foundation of the next decade for USA basketball, not just a short qualifying tournament. From a development standpoint, that's exciting. You'd be accelerating chemistry between the players most likely to headline the 2028 Summer Olympics. You'd be investing in long-term continuity instead of short-term comfort. But here's where it gets complicated. Chelsea Gray and Kelsey Plum aren't just depth pieces. They're Olympic veterans. They've played in medal rounds. They understand how FIBA games slow down in the fourth quarter. They've managed hostile crowds, physical defense, and tight possessions where every mistake matters. There's real value in that. Lawson may decide to open games with experience to settle nerves and establish rhythm. That's common in international tournaments. Coaches often start veterans to set the tone, then adjust based on flow. You don't always start your most exciting lineup. You start the one that gives you control. And the second Clark comes off the bench, social media will explode. It won't matter if the decision is tactical. It won't matter if it's based on matchups or defensive balance. The online conversation will shift immediately to disrespect, politics, favoritism, or protecting hierarchy. That's the reality of coaching in the spotlight today. Every substitution becomes a statement. Every starting lineup turns into a debate show topic. But the truth is, starting isn't the most important thing in international basketball. Finishing is. Closing lineups tell you what a coach truly believes. If Clark and Buchers are on the floor in the final 5 minutes of a tight game, that shows trust. It shows confidence in their decision-making under pressure. If Gray and Plum close instead, that signals Lawson values experience when possessions become precious. Both approaches can make basketball sense. The challenge for Lawson isn't just balancing talent. It's balancing timelines, honoring veterans who've earned their status, while preparing the next wave to lead. That tension is natural in any elite program transitioning from one generation to another. On the court, the logic will be layered and deliberate. Online, though, chaos is guaranteed.
CBA stuff. We don't really have any real updates. I'm just going to start there. Nothing is confirmed. We don't truly know anything new. All we have is some quotes from some players. The last time I updated you guys, I told you that the WNBA did return to the players and counter their proposal. And we really haven't heard anything substantial. Like, we don't know if the players came back, if they're doing a counter proposal. Like, we just don't know. And at this point, I'm tired of it. I'm over it. I just want to see what happens. But
the timing of this feels almost too dramatic to be random. Team USA's World Cup qualifying games are set for March 11th, 12th, 14th, 15th, and 17th. Right in the middle of that stretch, a viral debate video centered on Caitlin Clark is scheduled to drop. The video frames one Clark supporter against 10 critics arguing over the same question. Is she overrated or underrated? That overlap changes the entire atmosphere. Clark won't just be stepping into meaningful international competition. She'll be doing it while a polished, algorithm-ready debate about her basketball identity spreads across every major platform. Highlights from the qualifying games won't live in isolation. They'll immediately be paired with debate clips. A deep three-pointer from near the logo becomes instant proof for supporters. A missed shot or turnover becomes instant fuel for critics. Every possession will feel louder. And this isn't just another tournament stretch. It's one of Clark's first opportunities to wear a USA jersey in high-stakes competition. That alone brings pressure. International basketball is different from the college or WNBA game. FIBA spacing changes driving lanes. Officials allow more physical contact. Defenses close harder on shooters. Games often slow down late, and half-court execution matters more. Now imagine navigating all of that while social media debates your legacy in real time. It creates a pressure cooker environment. Not just competitive pressure but narrative pressure. Every stat line becomes part of a larger argument. Every clip is dissected within seconds. What makes the situation even more fascinating is the delay. That debate video was initially expected to release in January. Instead, it was pushed to March, landing directly in the middle of her international games. Whether that timing was intentional or pure coincidence, the synergy is undeniable. Controversy drives engagement. Engagement drives clips. Clips spark more commentary. The entire ecosystem feeds itself. If Clark throws a perfectly timed assist to Aaliyah Boston, supporters will frame it as proof of elite vision. If she relocates off the ball and hits a quick release three, it becomes validation of her versatility. If she struggles defensively on a possession, critics will slow it down and circle it. If she shows improvement on that end, fans will highlight it as growth. Nothing will remain neutral. Even a steady, solid performance won't be treated as just solid. It will be interpreted. It will be filtered through the debate's framing. The conversation won't simply revolve around whether Team USA wins or loses. It will revolve around what Clark's play means for her broader reputation. That's what makes this moment so combustible. You couldn't script a more intense collision between performance and narrative. International basketball already magnifies everything because of the smaller margins and global stage. Add a viral identity debate into the middle of that and every dribble feels heavier. March isn't just about qualifying for the World Cup. It's about narrative collision, where on-court reality and online discourse meet at full speed.
One anonymous player said, I think we're gonna have a season. I don't know if it'll be the whole season. Another player said, I feel like we're asking for a lot. I know we deserve it, but at the same time, it's kind of like we're kind of getting greedy. We're doing a lot of asking. I feel like we need to do a lot of doing. So that was kind of one of the answers that stood out because we haven't heard a player yet come out public.
Here's where things shift from dramatic headlines to a genuinely complicated situation. As of February 2025, there is still no finalized collective bargaining agreement between the WNBA and the Women's National Basketball Players Association. The league reportedly submitted a counterproposal weeks ago. Since then, there haven't been many public updates. No major joint press conferences. No detailed progress reports. Just quiet. And in labor negotiations, silence is rarely meaningless. Usually it signals one of two things. Either serious progress is happening behind closed doors and both sides are being cautious about public messaging, or the two sides are stuck and carefully recalculating their leverage before making the next move. What we do know comes mostly from anonymous comments that surfaced at events like Athletes Unlimited. Those remarks suggest there may be internal disagreement among players about strategy. That detail matters more than most fans realize. Some players reportedly feel the union could be asking for too much, particularly when it comes to revenue sharing. Others believe this is exactly the right moment to push aggressively. The league has expanded. Media attention is growing. Franchise valuations are rising. From that perspective, waiting or settling too early could mean leaving money on the table for years to come. That philosophical divide is critical. Labor negotiations are not just players versus owners. They also require internal unity. A union's strength depends on alignment. If a noticeable portion of players start worrying that negotiations are dragging too far, the dynamic shifts. The Players Association ultimately operates on majority rule. If enough members decide that securing a strong, stable deal now is better than holding out for every last percentage point, that changes the pressure points. Suddenly, the leverage isn't only external, it becomes internal, and the uncertainty is real. There's no official announcement that the season will be delayed. At the same time, there's no finalized agreement either. The calendar keeps moving. Expansion teams need clarity for planning. Free agency structures depend on finalized salary cap rules. The draft timeline can't remain flexible forever. The ripple effects touch everyone. Veteran players are weighing long-term leverage against immediate financial security. Younger players, especially those not earning maximum contracts, are thinking about guaranteed paychecks and stability. International commitments complicate scheduling. Sponsors and broadcast partners prefer predictability. Publicly, both sides appear calm and professional. Privately, it's clear that tension exists. That's natural in negotiations involving money, structure, and long-term power. What makes the situation more delicate is the narrative of a fractured locker room. Even anonymous hints of disagreement weaken perceived unity. Ownership groups understand that time can become an advantage if player solidarity softens. Right now, everything sits in an uncomfortable middle space. There's no agreement, but there's also no declared breakdown. Just mounting pressure as deadlines approach. The longer the silence continues, the more questions grow. And in high-stakes negotiations, uncertainty can become its own form of leverage.
Going to lean more towards the positive side, so I'm going to say an 8 because I know the amazing people that we have to support us, the women in the negotiating chairs. Somebody said full W season ? I feel pretty confident. Full ? I feel like a 9. And so the question was, sorry, I didn't even tell you the question. It said, on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you that there will be a full WNBA season? And the average score was a 6.1. And
That anonymous quote shifts the tone of the entire negotiation. I feel like we're asking for a lot. I know we deserve it, but at the same time, it's kind of like we're kind of getting greedy. We're doing a lot of asking. I feel like we need to do a lot of doing. That isn't ownership speaking. It's not a commentator on television. It's a player, even if unnamed, expressing uncertainty about the current approach taken by the Women's National Basketball Players Association in negotiations with the WNBA. And that's meaningful. Up to this point, the public messaging has been unified and firm. Players deserve higher salaries. They deserve better travel standards. They deserve improved facilities and a larger share of league revenue. The argument has been framed as long overdue correction, after years of operating below the standards of other major professional leagues. There hasn't been visible hesitation. This quote introduces hesitation. It doesn't deny that players deserve more. In fact, it reinforces that belief. I know we deserve it. But it questions the strategy. It questions timing. It raises concerns about whether pushing for the absolute maximum right now is the right move, or whether a more measured approach could be smarter. That subtle difference matters. Labor negotiations depend heavily on unity. When a union appears completely aligned, its leverage increases. Owners know they're dealing with a consolidated front. The moment even small cracks become visible, even anonymously, that dynamic shifts. It signals that not every player may be fully comfortable with how far negotiations could go. That doesn't mean the union is divided beyond repair. It does mean there are real conversations happening internally. Context is important here. The league is coming off a record-setting 2024 season. Attendance rose. Television ratings climbed. Expansion momentum continues. There's legitimate optimism about long-term growth. Some players may be weighing whether a prolonged standoff could slow that momentum. If games are missed, the consequences are real. Lost games mean lost ticket revenue. Lost games mean lost broadcast inventory. Lost games mean lost paychecks. Under revenue-sharing models, that risk becomes personal for players. A stalled season doesn't just affect ownership. It affects everyone's earnings. So the quote isn't really about greed. It's about timing and risk tolerance. Is this the ideal moment to demand the absolute ceiling? Or is it smarter to lock in foundational gains now, allow the league to continue expanding, and negotiate again from an even stronger financial position later? Those are strategic questions, not emotional ones. The key takeaway is that internal debate appears to be happening. That's natural in high-stakes negotiations involving money, careers, and the future of a league. But once that debate surfaces publicly, even in anonymous form, the power dynamics shift slightly. Because leverage isn't just about numbers on paper. It's about perception of unity.
that side as well. Like I've been telling you guys, I think at this point in time, we're not getting a full season. I think it's going to be stalled a little bit. It is already the second week of February. They're not going to get anything done this week. It's Friday. But Breanna Stewart also said this. She said, I'm feeling better. I'm feeling like the owners are finally really acknowledging and being receptive of what we want, the players as well. We all had to kind of put our business hats on and get into that mindset. I'm hoping we can get this done quickly so we're not late on the season start. That's the thing I've been telling them, is now that we're a part of the revenue sharing model, you miss games, it's just less money. That's not to say that we should submit and just say yes to any proposal that we don't like.
Here's the situation in simple terms. When reporters asked WNBA players to rate their confidence in having a full season on a scale from 1 to 10, the average answer was 6.1. That's only slightly better than a coin toss. The most common answer was a 5. In other words, many players are basically saying, we're not sure if we'll even get a complete season. Think about that for a moment. It's already February. Training camps are supposed to begin in April, and the regular season is scheduled to start in May. Yet the very people involved in the talks are only halfway confident everything will stay on track. For a league that's trying to build momentum and grow its audience, that kind of uncertainty is a serious concern. One player said, I think we're going to have a season. I don't know if it'll be the whole season. That statement alone shows how unclear things feel right now. Another player rated their confidence at 9 out of 10, which sounds strong at first. But even that answer came with hesitation and small doubts. So even the most hopeful voices aren't completely sure. This situation isn't just about feelings or guesses. It carries real consequences. If the season starts late or gets shortened, it affects ticket sales, TV contracts, sponsorship deals, and player paychecks. Under a revenue-sharing system, missed games mean lost income for everyone. Every canceled matchup reduces the money available to split. There's also another issue beneath the surface: unity. In labor negotiations, strength comes from standing together. When players sound unsure in public, it can weaken their position. Team owners and league officials pay attention to those signals. If they sense doubt, they may feel less pressure to meet every demand. Right now, the league isn't just working through a normal contract discussion. It's walking a tightrope. On one side, players want fair pay and better conditions. On the other side, there's the risk of disrupting a season that could help the league grow even more. The longer talks continue without a deal, the higher the pressure becomes. This moment could shape the league's future. And at this point, even the players aren't fully certain how it will end.
I mean, I don't know. I've read to you guys a million quotes. Like, this means nothing. It actually means nothing. I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but she's feeling better about it. Breanna Stewart has also been one of the players who is a bit more optimistic of the players who have been mouthpieces for these CBA things. I'm over it. I'm really over it. I'm going to give you guys updates when we have them. But as of right now, I'm just reading you quotes from players. Nothing has changed. There's nothing to report, really. We're at the same place that we were at last week when I told you guys that the WNBA has submitted a new proposal.
Breanna Stewart, one of the most outspoken figures in the ongoing WNBA negotiations, recently tried to offer a more optimistic perspective. She said, I'm feeling better. I feel like the owners are finally listening and being receptive to what we want as players. We all had to put our business hats on and get into that mindset. I'm hoping we can get this done quickly so we're not late on the season start. Stewart then made a crucial point that cuts to the heart of the current labor standoff. Now that we're part of the revenue sharing model, you miss games, it's just less money. That's not to say we should just agree to any proposal we don't like. But this is a business now, and this is how businesses go. In other words, Stewart is reminding her fellow players that the stakes are immediate and tangible. Revenue sharing ties player pay directly to league revenue. If games are delayed, canceled, or a season is shortened, that directly hits their wallets. Negotiations aren't just theoretical. They have real, measurable consequences for each player's income. The frustration surrounding these discussions stems largely from a lack of transparency. Weeks have passed since the WNBA submitted a counterproposal to the Players Association, yet we have no public clarity about what's inside it. We don't know exactly what points the players have responded to, which proposals are still contentious, or what compromises might be on the table. Instead, the only insights available come from anonymous player quotes, offering fragmented perspectives on salary caps, revenue percentages, travel accommodations, and other core issues. This near-total information vacuum leaves fans, media, and even other players guessing. Compare that to negotiations in other professional sports. When the NBA negotiates a new collective bargaining agreement, every step is reported, analyzed, and debated. We know timelines, sticking points, and who is pushing for what. With the WNBA, the story is different. Smaller media coverage, fewer resources within the Players Association, and strategic privacy on both sides result in uncertainty. And uncertainty in turn is damaging. For a league that saw record-breaking growth in 2024, higher attendance, rising TV ratings, and expanding cultural relevance, delays, rumors, or speculation create stress for sponsors, broadcasters, and fans alike. Timing is now critical. It's mid-February, training camps are set for April, and the regular season is supposed to start in May. Without a finalized agreement soon, a delayed season start becomes increasingly likely. This is especially concerning given the momentum the league built last year. WNBA audiences are engaged, and now is not the time for logistical uncertainty or disruption. Meanwhile, Team USA is preparing for World Cup qualifiers in March. Their roster is young, guard-heavy, and filled with talent. Caitlin Clark, finally healthy and eligible, is getting a chance to prove herself in red, white, and blue. The coaching staff is elite, and the competition against teams like Spain, Italy, Puerto Rico, and Senegal will be serious. Debates about starting lineups, minutes, and rotations are already dominating social media. Adding to the chaos is the delayed Caitlin Clark debate video. Originally expected in January but released in March, landing right in the middle of the qualifiers. It frames a national discussion over whether Clark is overrated or underrated, meaning every performance, every assist, every defensive play will be analyzed not just in basketball terms, but in media narrative terms. Back in the WNBA, negotiations remain unresolved. Some players are questioning whether pushing for the maximum possible revenue share or benefits is realistic. Others want to hold firm to ensure long-term gains. The public, and even some players themselves, have a shaky sense of whether a full season is guaranteed. When asked to rate their confidence that the league will start and complete a full season, the average answer among players was 6.1 out of 10, just above a coin toss. Some answered 5. Even those who claimed optimism hedged their answers with caveats. This uncertainty isn't abstract. It has immediate financial and psychological consequences. Stewart's comments about revenue sharing highlight the financial reality. Every delayed game is money lost. Under a revenue sharing model, missed games mean direct reductions to player income. This makes the stakes tangible. Combine that with the internal divide. Some players advocating maximum leverage, others urging compromise, and the union's negotiating power becomes more complicated. Unity is essential in any labor negotiation. Visible cracks, even voiced anonymously, give the owners informational advantage. The coming weeks are critical. The players face a choice: sign the current CBA offer and secure a full season, or push for additional improvements with the risk of delaying the season. For younger players, missing games could mean lost income, fewer opportunities to shine, and less time to develop chemistry ahead of major international events. For veterans, every delay risks the momentum they've helped create, while also threatening preparation schedules for future seasons. In March, Team USA's World Cup qualifiers will offer a glimpse into the next generation of elite players. Caitlin Clark's performance will dominate conversation, amplified by media narratives and social debates. How she fares will influence perceptions of her long-term place on the team. The WNBA is standing at a crossroads. The league has enormous potential, growing audiences, record viewership, and cultural relevance, but there is also palpable fragility. The decisions made over the next month will shape not just the 2025 season, but the broader trajectory of professional women's basketball. Ultimately, Stewart's message is clear. The WNBA is now a business. Delays cost real money, and every day of indecision has consequences. Balancing fair compensation with the need to begin the season on time is delicate but essential. How the players respond, and how negotiations conclude, will define credibility, momentum, and trust in the league. The questions at the center of all this are urgent. Should the players accept the current CBA to ensure a full season, or hold out for better terms? When Team USA hits the court, will Caitlin Clark start from the first game, or will veteran experience dictate starting lineups? These debates are shaping women's basketball right now, and will only grow louder in the weeks ahead. Every decision over the next month has ripple effects on players' paychecks, on fan engagement, on league reputation, and on the long-term growth of professional women's basketball. The WNBA, its players, and its supporters are all watching closely, waiting to see which path is chosen, and whether the league can turn negotiation tension